Hello, Zaragon here, and the topic at the moment is the best Genesis B-sides and rare tracks that not make it onto the album in their own time. And I'll just do this in chronological order. The first one you gotta hear is Pigeons. It's this music hall number that was on the Spot the Pigeon EP. And the last thing recorded with Steve Hackett, supposedly recorded during the Wind and Wuthering sessions, although I really don't hear much of the vibe of that same album on the 3 tracks that were included on this 1977 EP. I could not imagine any of these 3 songs on Wind and Wuthering. I am particularly partial to Pigeons. It's got this this very persistent note that goes through it over these descending chords. With like music hall and precision and a slight disco-y bridge, like and bass line. It's about the shooting of pigeons that land on buildings on the towers of London and the controversy surrounding it, and the fact that pigeons are an inconvenience, but at the same time you can't have them just flocking over buildings and defecating over Trafalgar Square, which is mentioned in the lyrics. But at the same time, you don't like having to have the pigeon exterminator come. It's a dilemma. And he puts Phil puts some of the emotion into the lyrics. So we called in those men, those horrible men. Lines like that kind of put the point across. Okay, the next B-side that you've got here is The Day the Light Went Out. The B-side to their 1978 single, Many Too Many. I believe that the song deals with the New York blackout of July 1977. Although it's got these great, like, grand lyrics, it makes it really poetic, like the grip of a jealous man. And musically, it is very similar to Scenes from a Night Dream, which I believe may be why it was left off of And Then There Were Three. Arguably better, although I like both songs. One of the best songs from the session, actually. It's just got this this grand, like, breezy synth, like, keyboard. Well, the intro kind of percolates up and kind of like that, and it has the same kind of bridge sections, like once again a slight. Some disco licks in the bridge there. Another great, also the other song, the other B-side to Many is also a must hear, Vancouver. A ballad, kind of Rutherford-like, although dealing with, Rutherford-like in musical style, but dealing with something that I think was going on with Phil Collins. I know that his wife, who left him right on the brink of the And Then There Were Three tour, was moving with their kids out to Vancouver. She had family out there. The story that's going on in the lyrics, though, I'm not so sure if they were specifically based on that, because the character in the lyrics appears to be a young woman just kind of on the cusp of adulthood who gets this teaching gig in Vancouver, like she's from, like, the London area, but she gets this way out in Vancouver, and so she flies out there, suddenly gets homesick when she arrives, and decides within a few days to just, this is not for me, and goes back home, moves back in with her parents, and the night she falls asleep back at home, and her mom peeks in through her bedroom door to just look at her back home, and it's almost as if it never even happened. That whole big trip never even happened. I can kind of relate to that on a personal level, because I did something similar back in 1995. I packed up my bags and went to London, and within a short time I got homesick for Portland. Oregon, and about the same distance actually, Vancouver, London. Anyway, the next must-hear B-side from Genesis is Evidence of Autumn. 1980 B-side to one of the Duke singles, I forget which one. Anyway, lyrically it plays into it seems to deal with the Duchess character, the star, the diva who has her big heyday, is loved by millions, and ultimately, you know, has her fall from grace, or her fall from the limelight. It's spoken from spoken in the third person. It's Phil seems to be observing her, like the girl from all those songs who made everything feel right, and compares her to like an angel, like a deity. Observed from a much more high-minded perspective than, say, the couch potato, the obsessive couch potato in Turn It On Again, who also lusts, who lusts after the character that the narrator here in Evidence of Autumn is admiring. Musically, very lush, very beautiful. It's got like and it's got a midsection that's somewhat reminiscent of parts of the midsection to One for the Vine, the staccato section. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, I believe it was left off Duke because of its perhaps because of its length, and it's maybe just like a minute too long on an album that was already over 15 minutes long, but also its musical similarity to Heat Haze. Anyway, the next must-hear B-side from 1986, Feeding the Fire. Just a gripping, intense song, kind of in the vein of Tonight, Tonight, Tonight. If they had included this in lieu of one of the two soft rock songs on the album, it would have given it more of an intense edge. Heck, if you wiped out both of the soft rockers for Feeding the Fire and Do the Neurotic, you would have had, heck, let's just say the album would probably be more universally held, a bit higher. Those of us who support the album, Invisible Touch, wouldn't have to sometimes cope with the naysayers, because there would be a lot fewer of them perhaps if the track list incorporated both those songs. That's 5 songs, but a shout out must be made to It's Yourself, the B-side to Your Own Special Way, a Wind and Weathering single. Nonetheless, It's Yourself was actually, I believe, recorded during these sessions for A Trick of the Tail. It includes, the mid-section of It's Yourself includes the intro section from Los Indos, the no, 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 don't know what that instrument is, but that sustained sound. Overall, it's a very celestial, very loose, rhythmless, pastoral piece. Lots of chimes, flute, wind going through it. I can see why it was left off either of those albums, because it doesn't quite have as much structure overall, but it does have some pretty like major 7th chords. Like it goes from like G major 7th to D major 7th, and then to E, like a pre-sequence. It's got some sitar on it. Oh, and one can almost forget, none of these were Gabriel era Genesis songs, mind you, but and the 2 B-sides they released during the Gabriel era or the 2 non-album tracks they released during that period were kind of, Twilight Alehouse is alright, kind of a psychedelic song, kind of more Van Graph Generator actually than Genesis. Released as the B-side to I Know What I Like, from Selling England by the Pound, but I believe actually recorded during the Nursery Crime sessions, because it has a slightly more psychedelic sound, more of a rougher organ in it than would have been used by 1973. Anyway, Oh, and one often forgets the non-album tracks that were released during that were recorded during the Jonathan King era. You could count those or count those out simply because they've been included on subsequent issues of From Genesis to Revelation. The best of those three songs, I would have to say, is One-Eyed Hound. This, just this total period piece. I love it. It has those moody blues harmonies, and done by Anthony Phillips and Mike Rutherford, I believe, behind Peter Gabriel, and then One-Eyed Hound. It throws in this Hendrixy lick, kind of like right from out, like one of the licks out of Purple Haze, or kind of like When Cries Mary, or something that's doom 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 doom. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time. Don't just experience these songs vicariously through me. Go listen to them yourself. Hopefully I've provided a few listening pointers in case you're a bit lost in some of these songs, or not quite seeing what the appeal, or not quite seeing what it is that I'm hearing in them. Anyway, until next time, this is Aragon signing out, and be sure to see me and see more Genesis recommendations on the G page of the English directory of my directory on Rate Your Music, Zaragon on Rate Your Music. The link is in the description, and the songs are in the description. Go play them now, and I will see you again.